Good morning. It is Wednesday morning. This is Daybreak. We've got all the latest news for you, the stuff that you need to know about. So settle down. Hope you got a cup of coffee or tea, and let's check it out. Good morning. It's the 9th of July, and a special welcome to viewers on Substack. Yes, we are broadcasting also live on Substack this morning. So that makes it YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Substack. Wherever you are, we will find you. So anyway, welcome to the Substack viewers and to my regular viewers on YouTube and Facebook as well, and X. I'll try and watch for those comments to come through. Actually, a lot of people watching on Twitter, which was kind of surprising. We were looking at the sort of ratings, and a lot of viewers there as well. So you seem to be all over the social media stratosphere. Anyway, let's get straight into the story. It's got a lot of stuff to cover this morning. Firstly, question for you, and I'm going to come back to this at the end. The question is, the Trump admin has phased out the most hated part of going through screening at airports. What is it? Okay, let me know what you think it is. I will tell you at the end of this program. Our child abuse statistics are a disgrace. They're a national shame, but they're also an international shame. I heard Christine Rankin talking on the platform yesterday about it, and she's right to highlight just how bad it is. In fact, we campaigned way back in 2008, 2009. I don't think, not sure if you remember, but we had 3 minutes of silence for various child abuse victims at that time. Did it make much of a change? Not really. And I noticed that the Justice Minister, Paul Goldsmith, is talking about addressing broader social challenges. Well, what are those? We need to speak about those, but those are the elephant in the room, because my argument is that to solve child abuse, we need to tackle family breakdown and family structure and declining marriage rates. And the cultural elite don't want to talk about that. The second thing we need to tackle is drug and alcohol abuse. And the media and the cultural elite really aren't that keen on talking about that either. And the other thing we need to look at, unfortunately, is the disproportionate amount of child abuse amongst Māori. Now, that is just a fact. Nobody can deny that. But once again, as soon as you start talking about that, the R word comes out for racist. And so we're not actually tackling the elephants in the room and looking at family formation and what are the risk factors. I noticed, though, I was interested in this article in the Post this morning, talking about the fact that in 2020, apparently the National Party drafted a bill that would make failing to report child abuse an offence punishable by 3 years in prison. In other words, stopping families hiding behind the right to silence. Now, that bill appears to have gone nowhere, and yet National are now the government. So I will ask Simon O'Connor about that tomorrow night on Political Playback, because I'm interested to find out a little bit more about that particular issue. New Zealand First are back with another bill, and this one, I don't know about you, but I don't use cash at all. I don't carry cash. I don't use cash. I just never have. It is just so convenient using my phone and using my card. But I know for a lot of people, cash is king. My father was like that. He was a cash man, so was my mother. And New Zealand First have got this bill where they're going to protect cash and make sure that cash is never phased out. And at a time when the power grid could go down, because we're so busy protecting the environment that we forgot, not that it needs protecting, but we're so busy protecting the environment that we forgot to actually make sure that the power could stay on. Like, what was that European country recently that went through that, lost their power? Was it Spain? Yeah, anyway. So anyway, cash is going to stay. That's a New Zealand First, and that will appeal to the older base audience as well, I think. Interesting article in the Post yesterday. Apparently, doctors who work for cannabis clinics have got hurty feelings. They're feeling the stigma. And it says some New Zealand clinicians have reported facing stigma, developing anxiety, and being made to feel like criminals because they're willing to prescribe medicinal cannabis to patients. Well, you're not a criminal if you're following the law. And the fact of the matter is, medicinal cannabis is legal if it's done correctly. So you don't need the anxiety. Probably they're treating the anxiety with medicinal marijuana, which always surprises me. This doctor that has the hurty feelings in this article works as a cannabis doctor at Cannabis Clinic now because has got out of the general profession. She's helped patients with chronic pain, anxiety. I mean, cannabis with anxiety is an interesting combination. I got some research just to share in a sec. Post-traumatic stress disorder, migraines, and even endometriosis. Look, when we were doing the cannabis referendum, we looked at the research. The research suggested that medicinal cannabis could help, just the CBD compound, not the THC, not the psychoactive substance, but the CBD could help with spasticity conditions and also treatment for nausea around cancer treatment. So if this clinician is giving medicinal marijuana for post-traumatic stress disorder or anxiety, please show us the research that shows that that works. But anyway, part of the interesting thing is that there's been new studies out. Last month, British Medical Association found that daily marijuana users 34% more likely to develop heart failure. 150,000 US adults tracked over several years. The study also linked marijuana with an increased risk of heart attack and stroke. And the problem is, and of course it's because marijuana inhalation puts thousands of chemicals deep into the lungs. Well, I think everyone can figure that out. And it was both smoking and edibles as well, which I found interesting. But there was also a publication in 2025 by the American College of Cardiology, different study, marijuana users under 50, so younger marijuana users, 6 times more likely to suffer a heart attack and 3 times more likely to die from cardiovascular causes compared to non-users. So there's the research and maybe the hurty feelings and the stigma towards our cannabis doctor published in this article was just a complete puff piece by the Post. Didn't look at any contra-argument, and this is part of the trust element with the media that they only cover one side of the debate. Speaking of that, as we know, trust in the media has been tanking. You can see there it was very high, and now it has gone down to, 32%. So it is in free fall. Interestingly, when you look at the individual media in New Zealand, they all got excited by the right-hand side, which says that there was an increase in the last year. But I've circled the aggregate of 5 years, and all of them are in the negatives, all our media outlets. Now, TVNZ have decided that they're going to do an independent review. They're commissioning an independent level review of its news, checking for balance and bias, following the government pressure on the state broadcaster to improve its trust levels. You know, even the fact, they can argue that they're not biased, but even the fact they're doing this review is a tacit admission that, yes, they are. And I just did a deep dive into their figures. Here they are. At the left is their trust score in 2020. 6.8 of us trusted them. 6.8 out of 10. And look at the fifth one, 2025. It's down to 5.6. So it's dropped 17%. So that's the level of trust. Speaking of trust, another interesting one. The watchdog, the Broadcasting Standards Authority, proved that they're not a watchdog because you might remember the story where Radio New Zealand said that Hamilton had their hottest day in history in January and the world is cooking. Climate change. Where's Greta Thunberg when you need her? The problem was that Ian Wishart, who many of you will know, good friend, said, actually, it's not the hottest day in history. In the mid-30s, there was recorded it was actually, I think it was like up to 2 degrees hotter. And the Radio New Zealand quietly changed the heading and quietly changed the article. Now, the New Zealand Media Council said that they were misleading, but the BSA said, no, all fine, nothing to see here. So the watchdog themselves is failing in monitoring the bias. Interesting article that I saw on Christianity Today, which said that age verification laws, so protecting kids from porno sites, and we're talking about that at the forum of end of next month with Dawn Hawkins, age verification laws may have the unintended side benefit of encouraging adults to free themselves from addiction to online pornography. They say because of the age verification, it will cause adults to think twice about going to these websites, knowing that they have to upload sensitive personal identification to an unsecure porn website, and therefore age verification undermines anonymous porn browsing. So there's an unintended positive effect of age verification. Not only protects kids, but makes adults think twice. Interesting to see Nigel Farage, who's doing very well in the polls, saying that he didn't support same-sex marriage. In the UK, apparently UK Reform is outpolling Labour. So that's a little bit like New Zealand First outpolling Labour. And many Brits have turned away from both Labour and the Conservatives and gone to UK Reform with Nigel Farage. Anyway, he says he didn't support same-sex marriage. Now, this is part of the cultural tipping point, team, because basically, I don't think he would have felt the freedom to be able to say that a couple of years ago. But people are now starting to say what they really think. And that has got to be a good thing. Somebody that doesn't want to hear what you think is Chris Hipkins. And he was talking about the inquiry into COVID yesterday. And he thinks it's all become politicised, but it's these comments that have really upset people. Have a listen.
Well, the terms of reference are certainly far more political than the first one.
But they were political
we
decisions.
Be mindful of that.
They were political decisions that were being made.
Well, yes, but governments don't generally establish a royal commission to look at political decisions made by their predecessors. So this is somewhat unusual. And the fact that the terms of reference the terms of reference specifically exclude decisions made when New Zealand First were part of the government. So I think the terms of reference have been deliberately constructed to achieve a particular outcome, particularly around providing a platform for those who have conspiracy theorists' views. That seems to have been specifically written into the terms of reference that they get maximum airtime.
Yeah, do you know why? Because telling people they have conspiracy theorist views doesn't stop them having conspiracy theorist views. And in many cases, as you discovered on the lawn of Parliament, you make them worse.
Yeah. Well, you also...
Okay, we will talk about that more with Simon tomorrow night on Political Playback, but the fact that the media are pushing back on Chris Hipkins, and yet he's still going with this, if you have a view on COVID, it's a conspiracy theory. And just like his comments last week about the New Zealand Herald being run by Tories and they're not reporting ram raids, even though ram raids have decreased. He's fast losing the room again. And interestingly, the big question now is, should Jacinda Ardern front up to the COVID inquiry? I would say yes, because it was such a major, significant time during, it would be like a war leader, Winston Churchill, not fronting up to an inquiry about how they handled Hitler or the Battle of Britain or whatever. And should Jacinda Ardern. Now, interestingly enough, once again, it's the media, the ones who gave the hardest time to those who didn't align with the narrative on COVID. It's them that are actually calling out the politicians and calling out, like Chris Hipkins and also Jacinda Ardern. Listen to what Paddy Gower said.
How good would it be if Jacinda Ardern fronted up to the COVID inquiry? It would be really good for New Zealand, in my opinion. The inquiry has opened again this week, and it has the ability to call Dame Jacinda to answer questions about the COVID response. In my view, the inquiry should call her and she should appear. This became obvious to me after Sir Ian Taylor really racked things up with his opinion piece criticising Ardern. Sir Ian was triggered by Ardern's book and the global publicity that has gone with it. He's frustrated because, in his opinion, it glosses over the big questions of the COVID response but goes big on glossy brand Jacinda. Sir Ian's piece blew up big time. He got a lot of hate and a lot of love. To me, the response shows the depth of feeling that remains over what happened during COVID. It also shows that many people are really frustrated that Ardern has not properly answered questions about how she managed the response.
Okay, now once again, just incredible that it's the mainstream media saying this. They wouldn't have let you and I say that a couple of years ago. Now they're the ones who are shouting it. So it's a cultural tipping point, isn't it? It's quite interesting. And just finally, one more story. What's my time? Doing okay. Fascinating study out of the UK. And it was commissioned by the Bible Society. And what they found, well, let me show you what they found. They found that there's been a rise in regular church going in the UK. And you'll see there that the biggest jump has been out the left there, the 18 to 24-year-olds. And so from 4% up to 16%, and the 25 to 34-year-olds. But here's the most interesting part of the graph. So male are in red and female in pink. Oh gosh, that's a bit sexist, isn't it? Anyway, very binary. And look at the growth. It's male. Men are now more likely to attend church than women. This is in the UK. And the commentary that I was reading said that church attendance has risen by 50% over the last 6 years, busting the myth of church decline in the UK. And the commentary says it's obvious the Gen Z age group, the younger, is fed up with the woke ideological claptrap. The swing away from liberal left-wing lies and nonsense like the promotion of 72 different genders is glaring for all to see. Undoubtedly, Gen Z men in particular have seen through the falsehoods, preferring the traditional and more conservative values promoted in these churches and probably avoiding the woke churches as well. So that's a fascinating trend coming out of the UK. And I think the argument is that the trend is similar for not so much for church attendance, but for political views for men in the US as well. The younger generation are becoming more pro-life and more conservative because they're seeing the outcome of left wacky policies. So let's hope that it happens in New Zealand as well. Right, couple of admin notices. My McBlog did drop yesterday, and I introduced you to Kirralie Smith from Australia, who's speaking at our forum. She's in court because she complained about dudes playing in the girls' soccer teams. She believes in biology, but she's paid an incredible cost, and her story will really give you some backbone. And Dawn Hawkins from Nkosi, which is the National Centre on Sexual Exploitation, will be talking about the whole Pornhub thing, prostitution, how do we protect vulnerable girls from the sex industry, basically, and the porn industry. She'll be a fabulous speaker. So here's the full lineup. Miriam Grossman, also Israel and Maria Flower, we're doing an interview with them. Jeff Johnston from Focus on the Family, and Amanda Ackman. And one of the things I really am looking forward to at the forum is we're going to be recording a live version of Straight Talk. And we've got Peter Williams, Rodney Hyde, Christine Rankin, and Ashley Church. And we'll be discussing some controversial topics. It'll be a right barn fight, and of course, live audience as well. So that is going to be a lot of fun. So if you haven't already, register. It is filling up fast. forumonthefamily.nz. And now what else did I have to? Oh, that's right. Just had to show you this. Don't forget, watch, read, and listen. And no paywall on any of our material, thanks to our awesome supporters. So you can watch our content, but also we're doing a lot of writing now, and the summaries of these shows are in writing on our website. And also we're on Spotify. So if you can't watch, but you want to hear the stuff, you can do it in the car or while you're working, being a trad wife, maybe doing the housework or whatever. Maybe it's the husband doing the ironing. But anyway, you can listen on Spotify, okay, and there's no paywall, no payment. Now, just before I go, Trump admin is phasing out the most hated airport screening policy. Did anybody get it? I'm just checking. Possibly they did. And there's just so many articles here that that I'm not sure that I can get through them. But here it is. Taking your shoes off. Yeah. You know how you got to take your shoes off, and it's a pain in the butt because then you got to especially if they've got laces and you've got baggage and everything. And the last thing you want to do is have to redo your shoes. So they're removing that. I mean, when they changed having to take your laptop out of the laptop bag, I always wondered why the X-ray couldn't see through the laptop bag. But anyway, now you don't have to take the shoes off. So I think Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize just for that decision alone, especially because I'm going up to the States in a week or two. Anyway, we are out of time. I hope you have a great Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, Simon will be here at 7:30 for Solid Ground. And tomorrow night, political playback. As you can see, we've got a lot to discuss, especially around the COVID inquiry and also some other topics that Simon sent through to me, media bias, etc. So we will talk about that then. Anyway, Wednesday, have a great day.